Hello guys, my name is Dualforce and today I'm going to be talking about Dauntless. This will be my second video on Dauntless, and I just want to get out a little bit more information. Now, I'm still speaking from a novice perspective as I've not put a lot of hours compared to other people who've been playing this game. I still fall under the 10-hour or 12-hour gameplay, but I want to share this. I want to share my knowledge with you guys for the most part. If you're someone that's been playing this game for a very long time, like I'm talking about weeks, months, then I don't think you're gonna find anything special about this video. This is mostly tailored to people who are fairly new, and for those who have not played the game but thinking of getting it. For those that have not gotten it yet, this is still a beta game and currently basically costs you nothing to download. I'll put a link in the description below where you guys can go download the game if you have not played it yet. I would really recommend that. If you have not played this game, you should, especially if you're someone that's played World of Warcraft kind of games. I would recommend that you play this game. And if you're an FPS shooter, well, I'll get a little bit more into that for you, as there might be a little shooting for you in this game as well. So if anybody's seen my first video, I made a mistake on that video, and near the end I said this is a play to pay game. And that was poor choice on my behalf, and the actual word should have been used microtransactions. Just because it's not really pay to play, that was me looking at the item shop very quickly and not really look through it. There are things you can buy for your items, but for the most part, most of the stuff in there is like cosmetics and other entertaining stuff like dances and all that. Now let's talk about, well, now that I got a little bit more information how the armor and weapons system works. By the way, I found out that you can actually use a gun in this game. It's a dual wielding gun, but the fact that this has a gun that you can use as a main weapon was pretty cool. And that was really that was entertaining to me. I got to play it and I got to like make it, so you have to make the weapon, but it's cool that you can switch between variety of weapons plus like a gun. You don't see that very often in these kind of games, which is kind of nice. So as for weapons, there's 5 different types of weapon plus the 6th one, which is the gun, and overall, and they all follow almost the same structure. You have to farm materials to level these individual weapons, and the more you level them, the more unique abilities they get to fighting higher level monsters. The one thing about the gun particularly though is that you have to farm 3 pieces of the gun in order to make it. Unlike the other weapons, you kind of just create the one weapon and you get to use it and you can increase the level. With the gun, you have to create all 3 pieces so you can get the gun, and then you have to farm, then you have to increase the level of each piece to make the gun stronger. Unlike the other ones where it's one item that you just have to farm the materials for. Which is, kind of fair because the gun does give you range and you don't have to get as close compared to all the other weapons. So I guess it kind of makes it fair to make it a little bit more difficult on the player. Well, so just that on, if you do try to go for the gun, just realize that you're gonna have to farm the materials for it, and don't use the gun right away if you do farm for them, because the weapon's gonna be probably a lot weaker than your other ones. I would just suggest you keep farming with your strongest weapon that you have currently until your gun weapon outmatches your gun weapon outskills your normal weapon. That way you're not in game using the weapon the first chance you get with like the lowest damage, and your team's like doing like all this work and you're just like hitting them for like the lowest damage ever. It's kind of embarrassing. I did that in 1 or 2 games and I realized what I was doing. That was just kind of cringy on my part. And the other reason I said be careful when you get the gun and jump into the game with it is because once you start the mission, you're not allowed to swap your weapon during the mission. So once you're queued in, that's it. Or at least until you enter the actual landing zone where the monster's at, I believe you can no longer switch your weapon. You're stuck with whatever weapon you equipped at that time and whatever weapon you landed at that time. And so just keep that in mind when you're leveling weapons, that you don't pick the wrong one, because then you have to leave early if you don't like the current weapon that you have attached at that given time. And the final drawback to the gun, which I think is fair, you can't be too far from the monster or else the bullets won't register as damage. You have to be at least decent enough range of the monster for your damage to go through. Too far and you basically won't hit nothing. The game won't register any of your bullets. So just keep that in mind. It does have a range, a limited range that was given to it. And for you people that play FPS shooting games, there is no crit hitbox for the head or specific body parts. If you hit it for 20 anywhere around the body, it will be the same damage regardless. So if you hit 20 for the stomach, it'll be 20 for the head, 20 for the tail. At least from my perspective of the weapon, I'm not sure if there's a special ability in the future that changes that, or they're going to change it in the future. But currently, whatever hit you hit for it, it's across the body. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But overall, I actually enjoy the weapon, and I have been leveling it. So there's that. As for the armor and the weapons upgrade, there's a lot of different types of items that you need to collect to upgrade each piece separately. Some share the same farming and some don't. As you progress to higher levels, you're going to need very specific items. One thing that I noticed though is that you need orbs, and orbs can only be farmed by doing certain quests. Orbs are definitely needed to upgrade weapons. There's there's generics like well, not generics, but there's like your neutral orb, natural orb, fire orb, ice orb. You get what I mean. But basically, you only get these orbs by doing very specific quests, and you can only get that specific orb for that particular quest. So if you need fire, you need to do a fire orb quest. But then for certain items, it's a bunch of random things that you have to do by killing individual monsters over time, or separate monsters that drop that particular item. Like for example, something called like Darkhide or Duskhide. I might have read that wrong, but you need those for at least when you're building your cloth, and that's just like whatever level that I'm at. The name will and the item might be completely different depending on the level that you're at. So, but just keep in mind, the orbs are the only ones that I've seen so far. You have to do very specific quests, or pick very specific quests to get those orbs. And in my last video, I called something a sphere, and basically armor and weapons have an attachable sphere thing, which I was calling a sphere, but it's actually called cells or cell. And basically, the weapon, depending on the level of the weapon, you either have an open slot for 1 cell or 2 cells. And these cells basically unlock special abilities depending on the cell. So you have to match. For example, if the cell has, like, for example, a plus symbol, then you have to have in your inventory a plus symbol, attach it to it, and then you unlock that ability or whatever the cell ability is called. It's mostly the cell will tell you what it is. It'll tell you like, grants HP duration, or grants, like, for example, 2+ damage. And you get these cells by doing quests, of course. They'll come in like a treasure box. You just have to go somewhere in the city to open this little loot box, and cells will come out. The cells are random. You can't choose what's going to come out of the cells. You can only collect them cells randomly as you do quests. And then when you're leveling up your items, the item will tell you that you can plug in this particular cell, and if you have it in your inventory, you can plug it in. Now in the city, there is a place where you can merge cells or put 2 of the same cells to level it up. Though you might want to do this the first chance you get, because when you put a cell in the fuser, or the city guy that fuses your cells for you, the wait duration is 24 hours unless you have particular items that you've purchased to speed up the time. But these cells are pretty sure play a big part as you level up, as they do unlock special abilities, and the higher the level, the better the abilities of the cells. Not spheres, because I call them spheres in the last video, but they're called cells. You'll see them. You'll see them on your weapons and your gear. The other thing about the armor that I particularly like that the developers put in this game was that you can actually hide the armor if you don't like the way it looks, or for any reason you just don't want to show it, or you do. They're very customizable. You can, and you don't really have to unlock anything for this. It's automatically given. So if, like, say you don't like the headpiece, while you're loading the headpiece, where you go to like put in a cell, or in the options where you go to your loadout and you try to change your gear or whatever, they'll give you an option to either hide it, show it, or whatever, even change the color, I believe. Though I don't think I've unlocked the materials to change its colors, but it's an option in the game, which I found pretty cool, because sometimes you don't like the armor or how it looks, but you need the stats and you want the levels. So you get the nice little ability to hide the item just to make your character, I guess, stand out more or look depending on how you want it to look, you know. So with all that being said, I also want to say that the game has gone through a big patch update, and which was funny because I wasn't aware of it when I did my first video, and right after I did my video, like a few days later, they came out with this massive patch that basically reworked a lot of things, changed a lot of things, and fixed a lot of bugs. Bugs that I wasn't really aware of because I didn't get that far because I barely started playing. Like I said, I'll leave a link of the website where you guys can go look at everything they post. Also, you can download the game, news, forums, patches, and all that. The patch is called, I believe, OB 0.7.1. And if you guys do go look at that patch, it is extremely long. From that patch to the one before the patch came out, I can tell you right now, the menus did change a lot. Audio voice, I think was finally introduced because I didn't remember seeing audio the first time I played it, and now there's audio, and people have been talking in game. And then if you look at all the updates, the developers have been working around the clock to continuously update this game. So I want to give kudos to the developers for constantly, you know, doing stuff, adding stuff, fixing things. Even though I'm still new, it's always nice to see the developers of their game putting so much work into a game that people are enjoying, especially this one. I got some feedback off my first video and some forums that I posted it, and I can tell you the community really enjoys this game from the feedback that they gave me. So I'm gonna continue playing this game, keep pushing it, and see how it goes. See what pops up next. See what kind of monsters I encounter. I did encounter a monster that does summon minions. So in my previous video, I stated that you only be fighting monsters, just a monster per place. I'm completely wrong, just because I found a monster that has minions. So there's definitely a lot more uniqueness to this game than just the first previous monsters, and plus the rework. So who knows where this game's gonna go? But overall, you should be playing it. Play it now. It's free. Why aren't you playing this game? What is wrong with you? And with that, I'll leave you guys with a good day. Yeah, take care, guys. Bye.